Ciao and welcome to What's Cooking Ari and week 15 of The Sweetest Kind of Death. This week it's the illusion of work without a calling. By my second year at UC Irvine, life had a new rhythm. I was still working hard, but now came the fun part, tasting the life I thought wealth promised. Newport Beach, the sun, the ocean, a beach house where I lived with three new brothers that I had met my freshman year in the dormitories. Bahram, we called him Mr. Bob, Vahe, and my dear friend Mr. Billy. It looked like the dream for us, young men in a house by the sea, playing at wealth, chasing freedom. But under our laughter, each of us carried a story. And those stories taught me that work without a calling is a dead end. Bob was my roommate. Today he is known as Dr. Bob Valamer. We shared not just a room, but a background. We were both Persian sons navigating immigrant families fractured by sacrifice and loss. His father had died suddenly before he entered the university, leaving behind a home, a mother, and three kids with no clear path forward. It mirrored my own story of loss years later, of watching mothers carry more than their share. But Bob pushed through. He buried himself in the chemistry labs, his head always in books, destined for medicine. At the time, he was just my nerdy roommate, hunched over equations while the ocean waves sang outside our window. Today, I'm proud to call him the CEO of Fate Therapeutics in San Diego, a leader in stem cell and cancer therapy. His work is no longer just work. It is a calling born out of pain and persistence. Then there was my buddy Vahe, my Armenian brother, always determined, always steady, and ultimately destined for financial services. He lived with a grin and also grit, carrying the immigrant fire that never quite goes out. He didn't play with words or waste energy pretending. He simply worked and worked and worked and found his path. And then there was Billy, the stallion, the rebel, the one who never slept. No one really knew how he got into UCI. And to this day, I'm not even sure he belonged there by academic standards. But Billy had a different gift. He showed all of us how to close the deal with people, with charm, with audacity. He lived unfiltered, fearless, and then he vanished. I don't know where Billy went or what became of him. Do you know what happened to your Billy in life? The rebel in your story? The one who flashes through your youth and then disappears into mystery? We all have one. So this is the reflection or the mirror of our story this week. This is the truth. Work ethics do matter. Newport Beach taught me that. But work without a calling is hollow. You can work hard, you can make money, you can even live by the ocean, and still feel like something is missing. Because discipline without direction or labor without love eventually drains you. Look, Bob's story proves that. He didn't just work, he found his calling in science, in healing, in creating something that mattered. Vahe found his calling in financial services, building stability out of uncertainty. Even Billy, in his reckless way, embodied a calling to remind us all that life is more than schedules and labs. Work gives you money. Calling gives you the meaning. So, how does my version of the love and the bank work? And how does love reframe work in this way? When we look at my definition of love, which is leadership through stewardship, real leaders don't just work. They steward their gifts for something bigger. When we look at opportunity through creativity, Calling is creativity applied to your labor. When we look at vision that unites, calling unites your past pain with your future purposes. And when we look at love through empowerment, which would lead to enrichment, work empowers your survival. Calling enriches your life. And in the bank of time and trust, work without a calling is like depositing coins that never accrue interest. They just sit there, waiting. But when you align your work with a calling, every deposit multiplies into legacy. So here is your mirror. Where in your life are you only working, but not walking in calling? Where are you filling hours without purpose? Where are you laboring without love? Work without a calling will burn you out. Work with a calling will build you up. So here is our kill move. And again, I hope you try to do this in 48 hours. But if you don't, I completely understand. Step 1, write down one area of your work that feels empty. Where were you, or where I should reframe this, where you are working, but you're not called upon it. Step 2, ask yourself, what deeper purpose could this serve you? Step 3, within a predetermined time, I hope 48 hours, you should take one action that ties your work to your calling. Dedicate a project to someone you love. Give part of your earnings to a cause. Connect your effort to a particular meaning. And step 4, record it as a deposit. Because calling is what turns labor into legacy. And my closing candle for this week. Work fills the day, calling fills the soul. Ciao, and thank you for watching. See you next week.